We had the entire day to work. The party was tonight, and we had to do all we could to make everything right. We sat down and talked about what needed to happen before the party started that night. Each guy had been assigned a different part of the party to do, and right after lunch we began to work. Since everything was taken care of by at least one incubus, James told me I could assist one of them. The question was who? Damien with the lobby. I stayed in the lobby with Damien, who nodded to me and passed me a dust cloth.
We have to dust off the railings and other surfaces before we mop the floor. Is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. I nodded and rolled up my sleeves, climbing the steps of the staircase. Easy as cake. Both Damien and I began to climb to the top of the stairs, wiping the dust off the railing as we went. However, a silly idea came into my mind. I looked over to Damien, wondering if he could read what I was thinking. What, sliding down the banister? As I expected, Damien looked over in slight surprise before giving me a slightly concerned look.
What if you get hurt?
Yes. Oh, come on! It'll be fun! I did it all the time as a kid. Damien stared at the rail in thought. My mind began to wander to how much fun my idea was, hoping my thoughts would convince him. Damien sighed softly before smirking slightly and nodding. Woo! I quickened my pace on the rail, dusting as quickly as I could as I got to the top. Damien followed quickly behind on the opposite side until we both were at the top of the stairs. We both then jumped up and sat on top of the rail, sliding down each side like a roller coaster. There was a lot of thought on the execution, but not much to stopping.
Watch out!
Oops. Whoa! Our brakes had become us slamming into each other and landing on the floor, him on top of me. Whoops! Apparently should have gone down separately. The banisters are so far apart, though. How could you guys have possibly ran into each other? I stared up at him in surprise as he looked down at me in concern. Neither of us knew what to say. Laugh. I started to laugh. I didn't know why, but I couldn't control myself. I closed my eyes and laughed in pure enjoyment of what had just happened. Damien began to laugh as well, smiling widely. Both of us ended up laughing on the floor. Damien rolled off of me and held his stomach as I held mine. We were both completely engulfed in joy at smacking into each other.
You were right. That was fun.
See? I told you! Both of us curled into ourselves, facing each other in laughter before we looked at each other with smiles. Aw, it's so cute. However, Damien's face softened as his laughter slowly died. He smiled with happiness in his eyes and a blush across his cheeks. I stared in surprise, my face turning red in return, but my mind going blank. I couldn't stop staring at Damien's smile. Something about him was just completely charming. His eyes had a mixture of happiness and a small bit of yearning. Soon, though, Damien stood up and reached a hand down to me, breaking my silent thoughts.
Come on. We need to keep cleaning.
All right. I slowly nodded before standing and continuing to clean alongside him. Now the hour of the house party had arrived. In my mind, I kept double and triple checking the essentials for the party. Knowing my dad, he invited his business partners and the executives of the Anderson Company to show me off. I guess we could skip through this bit. There's not much going on. As ready as I'll ever be. Alright. The doorbell rings. My parents arrive. I'm doing my best.
I'm so sorry about your grandfather passing away. It really hit all of us hard.
Thank you.
Do you have college plans?
Yes, I do. Felt like the questions kept coming up one after another.
What do you think will happen with the company now that your grandfather has passed?
It depends on who
What
runs
do you think of the philanthropic policy the company has?
It reflects my
Do
own
you
values.
think the company should expand from just toys?
It's a possibility. Eventually, the questions stopped and I was back to being by myself. Naomi and Susan were mingling in the crowds and the incubi were doing their jobs, so I was all alone in a room full of strangers. It was unnerving to think about, but at least I wasn't being questioned left and right anymore. Okay, so we're gonna meet Andrew. I'll be polite to him. Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
And then we're just gonna stay put. Okay, we'll read from here. I watched as he disappeared into the crowd towards the back of the house. I was worried, but I gave him his space. He obviously needed it.
Heh. He's not CEO material.
That's because you practically interrogated the young man.
A little questioning shouldn't have bothered him. He's obviously not ready for any title in our company.
I bit my tongue. I didn't want to make a scene with my dad. One wrong word and he'd lecture me in front of everyone. That was not something that I wanted at my housewarming party. I let out a sigh before looking at the clock. It was getting close to midnight, meaning that the party was going to end soon. I lowered my gaze out the window and saw a limo pull up. Huh? Whose limo is that?
Oh, that must be Lewis's car.
I'll go get him. Stay with your father so you can escort your guests out together.
Yes, Mom. My mother left my dad and me to slowly escort the guests out. My dad held his simple smile as he thanked each person for coming. I did the same. Andrew quickly passed the doors before I could speak. Eventually, only Suzu, Naomi, my parents, and the incubi were left. My dad suddenly walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder with a smile. I stared up at him, a wave of confusion washing over my face. What?
You did good tonight. I'm proud.
Oh! Thank you, Dad.
Keep it up, and you'll be a good CEO.
Oh, right.
All right. Your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
Oh, right.
Thanks for having us. It was a great party. We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right. See ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. All four of my remaining guests left the building, all but my dad waving back to me. With the last of the guests gone, I sighed and sat on the staircase, exhausted. I just now realized that Damien's the only one that doesn't have, like, a color as part of his costume. Like, Sam's got his green belt, and James has got a gold vest, and Eric's wearing a burgundy shirt, and Matthew's got a blue vest. Damien's just black and white. Phew. That was tiring.
It's not like you had to do any work, though.
Give her a break, man. She was getting interrogated left and right.
Thanks, Matthew.
She handled herself the best she could.
As expected, Princess.
Since you're exhausted, why not head to bed? We can clean up.
Ugh.
Hush, Sam.
Are you guys sure?
Positive. It shouldn't take long.
Ho ho ho! It didn't take long to find you little shits after all.
Alright, I'm gonna have to try some different options with you, Mr. Malick. I felt a hot shudder run down my spine. The voice from my dreams echoed through the air into my ears. I looked around, panicked, alongside the incubi. James placed a hand on my shoulder, trying to remain calm.
Don't worry. No one will hurt you.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
All of us shot our heads towards the doors, finally pinning down the direction of the voice. The doors quickly swung open, revealing a sight I would have never expected to see. Skin red as blood, eyes black and gold piercing into mine, roughened up clothes, and a pistol in his hand. I saw a monster. I covered my mouth to not scream at the sight. Dried blood covered the bandana around his neck as he smirked at me and the boys around me. Beside the red-skinned man was a similar-looking woman in matching thug-like clothes.
Aw, what's the matter, boys? You really didn't think I wouldn't find you, did you?
I hoped you would, you piece of...
All of a sudden, the man raised his gun at Sam's face and instantly pulled the trigger. We all gasped in shock, instinctively expecting to see a bullet run through Sam's face. But...
What the fuck?
What?
What should have been a headshot ended with a loud but empty blank shot. The pistol echoed its empty shots as the man grew more and more pissed, pulling the trigger over and over in aggravation. Luckily for my ears, it became quieter after its first shot.
Why the fuck won't you work?
This place is protected.
What did you say, Shrimp?
This place has a seal, protecting it from hellborn magic.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Ah!
The man growled and threw his gun at Sam, who was able to dodge it in time. The pistol bounced off the ground a couple of times before sliding further away, hitting the wall in a final stop. As it stopped moving, the gun faded into black flame that disappeared into the air.
The previous owner had this place protected by magic, Malick's.
Malick's. That was his name. His existence resonated in my memory from the dream I had. However, I looked to Matthew in the same confusion as Malick's did. This place is protected by... magic?
It would seem that your grandfather had some sort of protective barrier around this house. From the looks of it, it only disables hellborn magic.
Malick's face grew to that of extreme anger, his fist tightening as if he was crushing a stress ball.
Then what's stopping me from dragging your asses out and shooting you then?
Out of pure instinct, I stepped forward and placed myself between Malick's and the boys. With no power, Malick's wasn't going to fight. I took that chance to stand up to him instead of being powerless like I was in the dream. Leave them alone. Malick stared wide-eyed at my words. I could feel the boys do the same from behind me. Malick then smirked and leaned in nose to nose with me.
And just who the fuck are you?
That's none of your concern.
You got a big mouth, nameless bitch. You best be careful who you speak to.
Run! All of a sudden, I felt a hand grip my hair and pull it back, forcing me to cry out and stare up at Malick's. His eyes bored into mine as he cackled in my face.
Hey! Let her go!
Sam! Eric!
Within mere seconds, Sam had punched Malick square in the jaw, forcing him to let my hair go. As I fumbled back, Eric caught me in his arms. Okay, there's that spot. Gently pulling me away from Malick and back in their group.
Come on, Sam. You and me. Right here. Let's go!
Come on, asswipe!
However, before both could fight, the woman stepped forward and placed a firm grip on Malick's shoulder.
That's enough, Malick.
What? Who do you think you're speaking to, woman?
The girl who's going to help you kill them. Just not now.
Not now?
I stared as the girl spoke down at Malick's. She looked the same, just like pure evil. However, she seemed to be concerned for Malick's. Or for me.
There's 5 of them, and 2 of us. Even if we come back with the gang, they can have the place surrounded by human police.
I wonder if that is Diana. Cosplaying over there.
Then we shoot everyone!
Think! If we shoot everyone, we'll be hunted. And it'll be a matter of time before makeshift paladins come and try to exorcise us.
The two growled at each other. If they could have used their magic, I could sense that fire would glow from under their teeth. Malick grunted and glared at the boys. He pointed at James, wanting so badly to use his fingers like a knife.
Just wait, pretty boys. We'll get you and fuck you up real good.
Then Malick turned to me, moving his finger to point directly between my eyes.
And don't think you're safe. Step outside. I dare you.
With that amazing laugh, Malick and the woman walked out of the mansion. The doors closed behind them, leaving the boys and I alone once again. I felt my knees give out from under me, forcing the boys to quickly turn to catch me.
Whoa, whoa! Are you alright?
Yeah. Why was he here?
He's been closely tracking us. Our blood trail from the forest must have led him here.
We should have stopped him and finished it here.
For once, Matthew, I agree with you.
I stood up and rubbed my arms, feeling the goosebumps Malick left behind on me. I couldn't stop myself from shivering in fear of his words. Malick, was he a demon?
That son of a bitch is not a demon. He's a devil.
A devil? There's a difference?
Yes. Demons come from a different plane of existence called the Abyssal Planes. Devils, however, come from one of the 7 circles of a place humans know as hell. Despite us not being human, we are very different creatures.
We actually have brains, for one. Devils always like to cause trouble and try to kill or torture others for their own enjoyment. Demons, like us, know when to use our powers and when not to. We're not stupid.
Devils follow orders from higher-ups in their order, and their power only comes from their connection to hell. Demons all have free wills and don't rely on where they came from to use their powers.
This was all so confusing. Demons and devils and magic all existed, and I happened to land in the middle of it. What do we do?
You're safe. You've been protected as well.
What?
What Damien's saying is that the magic that protects this place also protects you.
Your grandfather must have cast it when you last saw him or something of that nature. We can sense its aura around your body.
I couldn't believe my ears. It was the third day of surprises, and this one took the cake in being the most surprising. I felt my head spin once again. What did I get myself into?
Miss, please don't worry. We'll find a way to train ourselves and become stronger to finally finish this feud.
I'm gonna kick his ass right now!
Until then, we'll protect you as much as we can. If Malick comes back, we'll be here for you.
But what about going outside? Won't he...
Like we said, you have a protection spell on you. Even if Malick attacks you, he won't be able to use his magic on you. He'd be just like any other human you can fight back against.
Didn't you say you knew Taekwondo?
Well, yeah. I felt somewhat relieved that I was mostly safe from Malick. Still, I could not help but feel very nervous and apprehensive about the future. The boys were safe here to train and become stronger, but what if Malick did the same? Even more so, I was lost about how my grandfather knew about magic. I had to find out. At least I had time. I went to bed that night feeling nervous. Despite the words of the incubi, I felt like a target of something I'd never be able to explain or prove. Magic? Devils? Demons? How did this all even happen? Should I really meddle with the situation? They are only staying until after they defeat Malick. That's right. They said they'd only stay until after they defeated Malick. After that, my life could go back to normal. Temporary insanity, as Kay would say. The question was then, would I want them to leave? If my life went back to normal, then I'd have to care for the house all on my own. I'd get to focus on my life instead of being distracted by the boys. I'd have to. My life. Where was my life going anyway? I was under pressure from my parents, with only my friends and the boys to comfort me. Without the boys, I'd have no way to hide from my responsibilities. Enough. Let's just sleep and deal with tomorrow when it comes. Defeating my sense of thought, I forced myself to sleep, unsure of what tomorrow had planned for me. Hopefully, whatever the future had for me, I would be ready for it.
I promise to be with you forever. You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m. Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning? Explore the house. I decided it was a good idea to wander around the house. I never really explored it much as a child, so there were bound to be new surprises. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead. We're gonna try. And we're gonna... hold on. Okay, let's start from here. So now I've got the ability to use, or sense magic anyway. However, the muffled sounds of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out to the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. In the yard were all 5 of the boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle with the other 4 surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Hey! All at once, the boys looked at me, frozen in their movements. I just stood at the doorway, staring at them after my outburst. James was the first to break away from the group, stepping towards me.
Good morning. We apologize if we woke you up.
No, it's fine. I've been awake for a while now. I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's quite all right. We needed to stop anyway. We don't want to overwork Sam.
Oh, come on, I can handle more than those pity punches.
Your mind seems grateful that we've stopped.
Haha.
Shut up, Damien.
Oh crap, we should probably make some lunch. I'm sure you're starving.
I can handle lunch if you like. You all seem to be very busy training to beat Malick's. I'll take care of it today.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, why not? I'm not useless. I know how to cook and do other stuff, too.
Well, no, I wasn't insinuating.
What he means to say is that we'd be really grateful if you could make lunch today.
No problem. As I turned to the kitchen, the boys went back to training. They seemed very determined to get better and to become stronger. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make sandwiches. Because why not? I assembled simple ham sandwiches for all of us. After I poured some potato chips on the side of each sandwich, I felt satisfied. Who said lunch had to be cooked? I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focus on training. Find one of the incubi. Let's see how this goes. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I looked down each hall, trying to find one of the incubi wandering so that I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursed my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? I knew that I would have to search for them in each room. I quickly turned and headed up the stairs. I began to walk down a hall and opened a random door, peeking inside. Lucky enough, I found Damien in the study. Oh, I was just here. Yeah, I was just here. Damien was in Grandfather's study, which I had explored not long ago. Despite only being here for a short while, Damien looked like he knew this room like the back of his hand. Damien was gazing at the pictures and books on the shelf, almost looking lost and dazed. It was almost adorable, but I could sense a small hint of sadness in his eyes. Damien?
Huh? Oh, hello.
Damien turned to me and gave a gentle smile as if he was doing nothing as I came in. I entered the room and closed the door behind me.
I was just looking at the books. They're very interesting topics.
Huh? I looked over at the shelf and skimmed over the spines of each book. They were all books about business and psychology, all ranging in thickness. Some crossed over and brought the two topics together, while others were strictly one or the other. Did my grandfather read and study all of these? They seemed used, but they were covered by a small layer of dust.
Do humans really study this much?
Occasionally. It depends on why we're studying.
What do you mean?
Well, if we are interested in the topic, like business, we learn what we can because we want to know more.
Are there things you can't study?
Nope. There are books and stuff about anything and everything.
Even the demon world?
Maybe, but usually those books are considered fiction or religious theory. It was almost cute to talk about learning with Damien. I guess learning was different in the demon world, but telling him about learning was almost like telling a child the meaning of life. I felt myself become a little wiser as we continued talking. +2 to wise. I wonder if maybe because he was not only the baby, but also illegitimate, that he had a thirst for knowledge but was denied it. I mean, Matthew, being legitimate, had books taken away from him. So maybe Damien also yearns to read and learn about stuff. Could be.
Humans can learn anything? At any time?
Mm-hmm. We have libraries and bookstores full of books we can read.
Humans have the freedom to learn anything.
Aw, Damien. I looked at Damien in confusion. He seemed to look jealous. What about demons? Can't they learn what they want? Damien shook his head before looking down at his feet.
Demons don't have schools to learn from like humans do. Everything we learn comes from experience or verbal mentoring. Books are only permitted to be read by higher nobles.
I stared wide-eyed. There were no schools in the Abyssal Plains? That seemed so unreal, yet in a way I wasn't that surprised.
The only ones who have ever touched a book are James and Eric, since they're the oldest. Sam and Matthew chose not to read.
Untrue. We know Matthew wanted to read. Or was told to read by his mom. What about you? Damien stood silent for a bit before sitting on the ground, leaning against a large desk in the room. I decided to follow along and sat beside him.
You brought food?
Oh, yeah, I brought food. Here.
Thank you.
You're the first one of the 5 guys to actually eat the food that I brought. Damien took his dish of food and began to politely eat. I followed suit. It was painfully obvious that he was dodging my question. Did I want to know? I was very curious. Ask again. We're interested in you, Boo. I was curious, so I had to ask. However, Damien looked to me, stopping me from opening my mouth.
Because I'm technically not a noble at all.
Conversations with you are very easy. I tilted my head and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Not a noble? But aren't you all brothers? If the others are nobles, that would make you one. Damien looked at his dish with a sigh. I suddenly felt regret for asking and pushing the topic. Before I could apologize, Damien spoke.
We are all half-brothers. We only share the same father. Our mothers are all different. James, Eric, Sam, and Matthew all had noble mothers who are now queens. My mother was not a noble, and is not a queen.
I could see sadness in Damien's eyes. I bit my lip. I shouldn't have pushed the issue. I'm sorry. Damien shook his head, snapping out of his thoughts, and smiled at me.
For what? You didn't know, and were curious. It was only appropriate to answer.
I mean, it wasn't really any of my business, though. Still, it was rude of me to pry like that. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Damien only smiled lightly at me before continuing to eat. As he ate, my mind began to wander to the abyssal plains. What was it like? What did it look like? Was their castle big? How many servants did they have? My thoughts were halted. My thoughts were halted by Damien chuckling, most likely at my thoughts. I turned red in embarrassment. Sorry.
You keep saying sorry when you don't need to. It's kind of cute.
Don't say it like that. Good grief. I pursed my lips but couldn't stop a blush from running across my face. This was going nowhere. I went back to eating in futility, earning another chuckle from Damien. However, as a groan of pain escaped Damien's lips, I stopped and looked at him in surprise. Damien? Are you okay?
Yeah. It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
I heard him gulp down and hide another groan, making me even more concerned than before. Damien.
It's just a headache. I get it when I run out of energy. I'll be fine.
You get migraines? Dude, that's terrible. I feel your pain. He was out of energy. I guess he didn't take enough when we first met, so it was just enough to heal his wounds.
None of us took more than we needed to heal.
I gotta go kiss all the boys, then. From the sound of his voice, he was fighting back major pain. I felt incredibly bad. Damien smiled very lightly at me.
I'll be fine.
Give him your energy. If he needed energy, I was willing to give it. Damien instantly turned away from me before I could finish my sentence.
No. I'll be fine. I'm used to this.
Don't be so scared, dude. It's fine. Used to it? Used to pain? There was no way that was okay. I glared at Damien's back before grabbing his shoulder and forcing him around. Damien stared at me, wide-eyed in surprise. Damien, let me help you. Please. I don't want to see you in pain like this. I continued to stare at him, wondering if he'd make the first move. I wanted to help him, truly. I knew that my energy would help him not feel pain. Damien must have heard my thoughts as his gaze changed from nervous to piercing. Oh, well, it didn't take too much convincing. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Damien wrapped an arm around my body and pulled my body tightly to his. Damien grew a lustful gaze before speaking, bringing a hand up to cup the back of my neck.
Thank you.
Haha! You guys look like you're Eskimo kissing. That's pretty cute. Before I knew it, Damien pulled me into a gentle but passionate kiss. Heat erupted through my body as his kiss slowly and almost timidly got deeper. Damien kept an arm around my waist while I rested my hands on his chest. The energy from my body was slowly draining in the kiss, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in the situation. Still, I had no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. Damien was a wild card. I didn't really know what to expect from him, and his kiss was no exception. Damien wasn't forceful, but his kiss was deep and passionate, and it felt almost magical. It was how I imagined the first kiss to be like, except with energy drain. Soon, though, the energy drain stopped and Damien gently pulled his face away to end the kiss. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Damien moved a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear, eyes still full of desire.
I'm okay now. But
Oh my goodness, the way he said that. Ah! I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. Keep going. I opened the opportunity, and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more, and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I leaned up and kissed him again. Damien gasped against my lips, but continued to kiss back. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hand off from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to his pocket before gently unbuttoning the top 2 buttons of my blouse. The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips down to my exposed neck. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and let a pleasurable sigh escape my lips. Damien was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Damien didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gasps rush out of my mouth into the open air. He may have been full, but he was as hot as I was. I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest to just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Damien intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the ceiling start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto Damien's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and Damien. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied around a small pen in a nice bow with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
Thank you. I indulged myself, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Damien.
I don't know what it is about when he says these lines, but ooh, gives me goosebumps. I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. He indulged himself as much as I did. I enjoyed it. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the note to my chest, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Damien. I looked at the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes. 4 hours of being knocked out and I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still, I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good.